Sounds good.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, we should be rolling here. All right, welcome back to Judging Bouncing Balls. We are joined by Jon Murphy tonight. Excellent guest. So, Toby, I'm going to let you introduce the great Jon Murphy.
Great, Jon Murphy. Fantastic. Actually, me and Mr. Murphy were just having dinner, and I was explaining how our guest had to push off 1 week and trying to talk him into it. Didn't even have to buy him dinner. He was gracious enough to take care of that. But he's got a lot to offer, and I think he's going to be a great guest tonight. You know, I even told him at dinner that we've had our issues with Kimberly, that we've made fun of the football program because they win a lot. So this is kind of our retribution to say thank you, Kimberly. Here's your coach.
Well,
so, Mr. Murphy, how are you?
Thanks. I'm glad to hear that I'm kind of a backup guest. Maybe
Oh,
back up to the backup.
I've been trying to get you on this podcast.
You were able to grab a guest.
Well, I asked if your wife could be on first, and you said I'll take it.
Yeah, well, excited to be here. You guys got to get a little Kimberly class on board.
Yeah. So no, and you told me this at dinner. 36 years on the hard court.
Wow. Yeah, this 36 years coaching varsity hoops. You know, I started in 1987 as a 23-year-old. I was the head coach at Seymour High School. You know, I got the job at 23, I think because nobody else wanted it. I mean, it was just a tough job at that time. Seymour was kind of a football school. I think Seymour entered the Bay in 1969. I got there in 1987, and they had never gone over 500 in boys basketball. So it was seriously, wow. I think there was 2 applicants, and they just wanted a fresh start. And I was, willing to do it. I had just graduated college, and I had worked 1 year with Roy Smits at Green Bay Promontory at the time. And I stepped into that job, and I remember Roy Smits telling me, "Are you sure? Is that something you really want to do?" And, I was 22 and naive and said, "Yeah, I'm excited about it." And, there's nowhere to go but up. It's a great situation to step into versus, stepping into a job that, they've had success. And, I was allowed to grow as a young coach, and I'm not so sure that happens too often today. If people don't win right away, it's just a tough environment, it seems like, for even high school coaches. There's a lot of things to deal with and people pushing you out and pressures, and you got to win. And, it's that kind of stinks about coaching today. I think young people are being forced out early before they have a chance to kind of get their footing. But I was afforded that opportunity and was, at that time surrounded by some great basketball coaches in this area, guys like who I really looked up to. I mean, Fred Kessler was a great coach at Pulaski, and Carl Brugink had won state titles in Kimberly, and Keith Wall was a really good mentor of mine over at Green Bay Preble. And, if nothing else, I was really good at watching and learning. And it took a few years to turn the corner, but we turned it into something really special at Seymour. 12 state appearances and 3 titles and 5 runner-ups. And, we're the only school that's ever gone to 7 consecutive state title games in the history of Wisconsin basketball. So we had some amazing moments there, but it was really because I was allowed to grow with a bunch of kids in a program, and I wasn't, pushed out after a year or two of kind of learning on the job. And, I was retired from teaching after 33 years teaching and coaching in Seymour. And I stepped away the COVID year. And, that was a year when all of a sudden every high school game was available, streamed. And I probably watched more basketball that year than I've ever watched in my life, because you can catch every game on Friday night. And I knew early on that I had missed coaching, and that if the opportunity came around, I would get back in. And it's just, the Kimberly thing happened, and we talked, and I met with the AD Ryan McGinnis, and a couple months later, I was back in the gym running camps, tying second grader shoes. So this is year 3. I told them I would give them 5 years, and then kind of be year to year. And I think in my situation now, it's got to be a situation where I'm kind of happy, and they're also happy with the job that I'm doing. And I don't need to do this, but I love doing it. And so far, it's been amazing. Kimberly's it's just a really supportive community. The school is awesome. There's amazing leadership with the principal and the AD and right that from the superintendent down. Athletics are important there, and that's not that way everywhere. But I've heard the jokes before I went there. I was in the area. I mean, I've heard of the University of Kimberly and
Right.
that story and
Recruiting dollars, right?
yeah. And totally, I don't know.
We would never
They
say
asked me
that here.
about that if that was intimidating to me, and I said that was exciting to me to have that
Well,
opportunity.
yeah. Empty, written blank checks. I mean, come on, John. I mean,
yeah, my check is unbelievable, guys. You won't believe it. But
let's go back.
That's my story here.
And that's kind of why I'm excited to have you out. But let's go back to your early days and see Seymour's a small community, and you guys ran for so long, so good. What does it take for a coach to do that? I mean, I'm in the Bayport district. There's plenty of kids constantly coming through. Kimberly's got an excellent reputation. Even Spash, they've got a big community.
Mm-hmm.
But in Seymour, you're kind of, I know we've talked about the amount of land that the district covers, but there's not a lot of people in between on that land. So how do you continue to make that for 33 years and make 7 state titles in a row?
Well, you know what? A little bit of it was I just think I was the right guy at the right time. And basketball wasn't like it is now in that I think we got ahead of the game. Guys like Paul Deacon at Schwabman and myself were the first guys who really started running youth tournaments in the early 90s. And we developed a youth program, and we were way ahead of the game. I had kids, I started with second graders, and we started, we used to have an 18 tournament, and now, there's tournaments everywhere. That wasn't like that. People didn't have tournaments. There was a couple around. Schwabman had one. We had one, and Pulaski had one, and that was about it. And, I put my time in with the kids, and we developed it from the bottom up, and that was my, like every coach, I guess, but it was my goal to have a team that was good every year, not just once every 10 years. I wanted to be sure that we had players that we were. Hey, I only had what I had in Seymour. It's just a little cow town, right? We aren't getting people coming in open enrollment. That's a city thing. Nobody drives their kid out to Seymour for open enrollment. Right. So we had to develop our own, and we had just a run of nice sized kids who were just into it, who had played since second, third grade, so that even when we weren't that great, talent-wise, we were skilled, we were very knowledgeable, and you can go a long way with those two things. And, once we turned the corner, I think 93, we made it to the state tournament for the first time in 60 years. We got killed there, but we got back down in 96, and we lost, got blown out. But then we came back again in 97, won the state title with a 27-0 team. We kind of kicked the door in. And then it was just, we had a run from that time to, really to 2012, where we were just down at state almost every year. So we were fortunate. I think a lot of kids watched the older kids have success, and it just became a basketball town. And
yeah, everybody wants to play basketball.
Our kids lived in that gym, and they put their time in, and there was they just felt like it was their right to get down to Madison after a while, like it was going to happen. And once once you get that belief, it's unbelievable the power in that. Well, kids stepping on the court, just kind of knowing that they're going to find a way to win. So we had just an amazing run, and it was a lot of good years with a and that's one of the really truly proud things that I've done in my life is we did it at some little town in northeastern Wisconsin, a farming community, and we put our stamp on that community and also on Wisconsin basketball. So that's obviously a highlight of my time coaching basketball, my time in Seymour.
Where was State always in Madison when you coached, or was it ever at the in Milwaukee at the Metro?
No, it was always in Madison. Through '97, my first few years at State went to State. It was at the old field house on campus, the barn. And in '97, we played the last high school game ever played there. That year, and that was a year we went 27-0 with, kids like Paul Kraft and Nathan King, and that was a great group. But there was no environment quite like the field house in Madison, that old barn. It was awesome. I miss that. The Kohl Center's huge, and it's a beautiful facility. But the barn was like one of those old gyms with people right on the court. The stands go straight up. It was exciting. That was exciting playing there.
So you get through Seymour, you retire. Kimberly says, "I'm not saying anything what they said. They just said, come coach for us." So what is it like? Where are you at? Like the minute you walk into the Kimberly gym, and they have the indoor facility for football. I mean, they've spent a lot of time and effort the community has on sports. So when you go to Kimberly, I'm assuming they were very welcoming because your history has proven that you can handle it. But was there a good foundation for basketball, or did you kind of have to regroup and start your process?
Well, I think Kimberly's been good in everything, not just football. I mean, you're talking basketball, boys and girls, and soccer and lacrosse and everything. They're pretty good in. Track and field, they win state titles. As I know you guys are big supporters, so I'm glad to be on tonight. But stepping into that, even for me, it was just exciting. And they had always had athletes. We played Kimberly over the years, and I know Lucky Works did a great job, and he left after having lost the state title game. I mean, and we had Jackson Pavlewski back from that team, one really special player. But there's some work to do in terms of getting kids to play. Every coach has a different style, and I do think it takes, and I'm figuring this out now, maybe 2-3 years. This is my third year for it to really feel like it's your program. And I'm feeling it now. I just feel like the kids and I know the families, I know the kids. We kind of talk the same language finally. We were able to start basketball and just be so far ahead of where we were in the past because it's their third time through with me. They know what my expectations are. They know what we need to do. So it's exciting to step in and kind of see, okay, my goal is to do the same thing we did at Seymour. And I'm sure every coach wants to get to the top of the mountain. We did it year in and year out in D2. Before I'm done, I think it's my goal to try to get to the top of the mountain here in D1. And, we will see where that goes the next few years. But I do like the direction that we are trending towards.
You said you had a big injury recently.
Mm-hmm.
6'9" kid.
Yeah, we started our season off the Thursday before we started our season. Well, the kids had played football in the semifinal on Friday, but Thursday night, our big kid, this kid's really common. He's a 6'9", going to be he's a junior this year. He fractured his tibia. So he's probably out till mid-January at the best. We're hoping that it's it's a huge late season ad if we can get him up to speed. But because there's just not a lot of kids that size and with his skill level, he's going to be a special player. I mean, he's an incredible shooter, but he's not. He's going to miss these 15 games. He's not the polished product. He was 6'2" as a freshman, 6'5" last year. He's 6'9". So there's some coordination and strength catch up. Sometimes kids are 6'9" in high school and they're fully developed. This kid's a 6'9" baby yet. They were hesitant to do the surgery to get his, on his tibia because his growth plates are so open. So we're talking about kids going to be 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet. But I'm hoping he's going to be able to do it one day in Kimberly before he's off to college. But that's a big loss. And we're hoping our, we got a bunch of good kids, a bunch of hardworking, really nice athletes. We want to be pretty tough and be competitive every night, and maybe get Ben back late in the year, and really that would be a big add-on, obviously.
Yeah. Now you kick off your regular season Friday night at Nina's new high school. So it's kind of be nice to hang a big L on them forever. They could talk about their gym being, they did the big ribbon cutting and then they put the big L up there. I get, that's what you're striving for, right? That's what you have to.
Hey, I don't want to get anybody any, extra motivation. We're just trying to compete, Toby. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. We got a huge following in Nina.
Yeah,
Nina, Greg.
We're going to go out there. Hey, I got a bunch of tough kids, and I know we're going to be in a lot of close games. That's just we don't have any D1 kids on this team. We got I got 16 kids, 6 seniors, 6 juniors. The 4 sophomores bounce back and forth a little bit, but 14 of those 16 kids were suited up for the state semifinal a week and a half ago, playing football since August. We are a little different team. There's so many of the top teams in the area have 70, 80, 90% of the roster kids who just specialize. That's not us. We got to survive early in the year till we get our basketball legs and our cardio and our shots down. And, the last 2 years we finished 18-7 both years, and we were 4-4 at Christmas, throwing up bricks until we're in the gym for a month or two. So early in the year, we just want to fight. Well, we're going to be physical. We're going to be, we're going to be part basketball and part football, and we're going to be scrappy, and we got to survive a couple of these games. But that's just, realistically, we need some time. A week, 2 weeks ago, we were playing football, and it takes a month, I think, to kind of get your basketball, to get your bounce. Football is such a horizontal sport. It's not a jump up in the air sport. It's not it's a 4-second sport, and then you go take a rest and go back to huddle and make a plan. Basketball is continuous for 36 minutes, and it's a completely different type of cardio. So we got a ways to go, but I'm telling you, I got a bunch of hard working, really, really good kids. So, and they, like I said, they understand what we want. So we expect to compete every night.
We got some tough. You got Jeremy's the assistant athletic director at Spash, and I know he was looking up your schedule, circling it, saying it's going to be a good.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll just say that that's going to be a good challenge. But we just played Nina actually last night, and we were able to squeak out a win over them. I'll tell you what, number 12, heck of a player. I can't remember his last name, but he is a knifer to the lane, and he is really good with the ball. He's an excellent player for Nina.
Yeah, Brady Corso. He's a good player.
Corso, yes.
I think he's got a D2 ride. I don't know where he's going. Michigan Tech, maybe?
That sounds about right.
Lefty. He's a nice player. So you work with John Vollendorf a little bit.
Oh, yeah. John. Yeah. John's a great guy.
John's a really, really good family friend of ours.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I coached his son. He's the same age as my son, Riley. They played AU together for years since little kids.
Okay.
So John and I traveled together to a lot of things, and really good friends. And we played up at Spash last year, and I just got a lot of connections there with Scott Anderson's a good friend, and the Hausers We all
Yeah.
had boys the same age and grew up second, third, fourth, fifth, chasing the AAU thing all over the place.
Yep.
So we always just want to keep this Bash game going, and they have a really nice team this year.
Yeah, we got a couple guys back from last year, and that's really helped. But and then some other guys got a little older, so it's gonna be fun to see how they do and pull together. They're just a hard-working group of guys. They're not, like you said earlier about your team, maybe not anybody that's gonna jump off the page as a Division I like big star, but there's just a bunch of guys that work hard together, which is really fun to watch.
Yeah, I like their big kid. Didn't he play quarterback in football?
Yeah,
Too?
Marshke. Yeah, the big redhead. We call him Clifford because he's the big red dog.
That guy's a stud quarterback too, though. That guy's got a great arm.
He does. Yeah, he's an excellent pitcher. I mean, I was at his game when he threw a no-hitter, and it was phenomenal. It was so fun to watch.
That kid's just an athlete. I mean, he's a three-sporter, and you could see it. He's just good at everything. I saw him play against Kimberly in the playoffs, and he was really impressive.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. He had a good game last night against their big, tall guy. He played really well against him. He's undersized. He's only about 6'5", and that guy's about 6'11", but he played him pretty tough.
Yeah, I saw that game. They had a nice game. I mean, it was 45-45 with a minute and a half to go, and that shooter, that kid with the red shoes, hit a big three. He's a nice player too.
Yeah.
So we've seen Point the last couple of years because we played them, and it's kind of funny. You see those kids grow up. Now they got a couple bodies there that I didn't see in the past. I wonder if they got a couple transfers.
We did. We got a transfer from Wauwatosa West because the dad took a coaching position at UWSP. And so we, by chance, got him. He was a really solid player, that Carter Combs. He's a really solid kid. I mean, just good all around at everything. Not one not a great scorer, not a great rebounder, just good at all of them. Really solid, good player, really heady.
Toby, it sounds like a little bit of recruiting to me.
I was going to say, by chance, yeah.
Yeah, just by chance. You know what? We're going to play Point, and by chance, I'm going to throw a couple new kids.
Right.
Hey, it worked out really well.
Yeah, you're the president of the college if that's what it takes.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get you a job. What does Dad do?
Hey,
Fast as the new Kimberly.
We took it right out of Kimberly's playbook. We're like, how do we get these players?
I got a lot of Spash stories. I grew up with Dave Hauser when he wasn't at Spash and Scotty was at Nina, and all of a sudden you got Scott Anderson and Hauser, and they hire a guy from Mayville by the name of Blair, and you got 3 state titles.
Worked out really well.
It does. You know what? If I was a principal, I would find people who are into athletics, because it means so much to schools.
It does, yeah.
And if they have kids, it's a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look around. There's a lot of coaches' kids who are, they grew up in the gym with dad, and you hire people like that. It's good for everybody in the community. Look what that did for Spash for a few years. Unbelievable run.
Well, John, no, you hit on what we've talked about a couple times. Is it's so important for the community when the school does well, and that's the big difference why we love that versus club sports. Club sports, you can be great in club sports, AAU, whatever, but it never brings people to the stands like it does for the high school, and that's why it's special. It really is.
When you have a team, guys, girls, football, basketball, anything, soccer, that when a team is doing well and the school is excited and kids are going, there's not enough of that today. There's too much, in my mind, there's just too much where kids maybe there's too much to do. Sometimes you go to a game and that's, 2 great teams playing. It's just spattering of parents, and there's not this school support. So that's why it's exciting when the school does well and the community kind of jumps on the bandwagon. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So we do talk a lot about that, how I would rather play for my community. Club sports are great, right? There's a future for club, just like AAU. You need it for different things, but it becomes a pay to play. It becomes we're traveling every weekend, and you kind of look at for what. And we'll get to that because you did the whole circuit of AAU, correct? You coached and then you were a parent.
Sure.
Did Jack also do AAU? I know Riley did.
Yeah, they both did. I mean, Riley's team, we traveled a lot more, and it was just we did Indianapolis and Louisville, and we went to Vegas, and we spent a lot of money. We had a lot of fun. Uh, but I think that the guys that we had, I don't know that we were out looking for scholarships, but we were playing against high level kids and a bunch of kids who wanted to, you know, uh, really improve and be challenged. And I think most of us wanted to have a great high school experience. And AU was a means to get better. It wasn't like a means to the end. I'm here for a college scholarship.
Yeah.
Because I think for too many, that's what it is. And that's just the thousands and thousands and thousands of kids playing AU. It's everybody. We talked about that, Toby. It's not like when I was, in the early 90s, even early 2000s, when AAU was just in its infancy, only the best kids played. Kids who were really prospects. Right now, like you say, anybody who wants to write $1,000 check can play.
Mm-hmm.
They got a level for you. You got a check.
Right.
There's a level. The Blizzard has like 70 teams. I mean, they're doing phenomenal and giving out kids opportunities, but that's like 70 boys teams.
Wow.
And then the same number of girls. You got 5, 6 teams per grade level starting second, third, fourth grade.
A good business.
It's a good business.
Great business.
do the math. Do the math sometimes. There's a reason there's a lot of AU programs.
Yeah. Did you find the success out of so Indianapolis is up in Westfield? I'm assuming you were was at the Pacers facility. Is that where you were?
I don't know. We were all over. Those AU tournaments. We're all over the country, all over the place. You play at college facilities. You play in high schools. You play.
Did the benefit come for? I know Riley ended up playing a year at Eau Claire. Did any of that happen because of AAU, or was it the localized high school play that got him?
I think he got. He was playing there because of what he did in high school.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think the recruiting now has become an AAU game, right? Why go to Shawano to see one kid when you can go to Chicago and see 1,200 kids playing on a weekend?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's become. It's become really good for the colleges.
Right. It's an easy way. Now, you've had players throughout. I mean, even you go back to Paul Kraft, who played at GB, Sandy Cohen, who played at Marquette. You've had quite a few guys really excel and play high-level basketball. And I think anything me and Jeremy both agree, anything that you go on past high school play, it's high level. But when you start talking Division I, you start talking full ride, you start talking getting money to play. How was the recruiting process for that? Just go through what you did with Sandy, because I remember we were at your house one time, and you had voicemails from Coach K, from Michigan State, that were recruiting him. And it was just interesting to hear Tom Izzo on your phone asking about Sandy. That would be mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. I mean, it was strange, but talking, answering the phone and say, hey, coach, this is Tony Bennett, or this is Tom Izzo, or Wojo. Whereas Sandy had this thing from day one, he wanted to go to Marquette. So when that happened, he shut down everything else. When I really thought that it would have been better fit going to Virginia. But he was a kid whose stock rose fast. He played for, it was at that time, what was it, Playground Warriors, or before Playground Warriors, it was, anyway, with Ike Wilson. Dwayne Wilson was his son. Anyway, it was a Nike-sponsored team, and all of a sudden this kid from Seymour was flying everywhere on weekends. I'm flying to New York. I'm flying to Peach Jam in Georgia. All expenses paid, all this stuff. And it was a new world to us because I hadn't seen recruiting like that. And, you have everybody calling. and it's pretty. Um, that is where I saw the power of AAU, because the stage that those kids are put on, sitting on the sideline every game, you have the top coaches in the country, and what a fun thing for those kids.
Yeah.
And those kids are getting taken care of by.
Yeah.
They're all sponsored by. You're either a Nike team or you're on the Adidas circuit. You're on the Under Armour circuit, and everybody plays those circuits. But the top teams, those top tier teams, they get everything covered. It's unbelievable.
Doesn't that ruin their amateur status? I mean, in their high school going into college, did they not accept money? They just got paid.
Yeah, no, everything was just covered. Let's say that. No, I don't think anybody was asking any questions, but coming home with a lot of nice stuff, and I know he didn't pay a dime, and I think that's pretty standard. If you're playing for Phenom in the state of Wisconsin, chances are you're flying to a lot of tournaments, and things are covered.
Now,
I think there's a certain amount of stuff. I don't think you can be paid, but I think meals can get covered, flights can get covered, that type of stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Who's checking?
Right. Trust me, if you want to give my kids some coin nobody has, you can give it to me. You can give it to me. I've lost my eligibility when I put the uniform on.
Okay, Cam Newton.
Well, Paul,
I'm sure there's a long line of recruiters too, Toby.
I'm sure.
That hurt. Yeah, your lack of eligibility hurt you.
I played in one tournament for money in the UP, and I was told I could never play college ball again.
You don't get your COVID year back?
I got to be honest. I came out of school a little bit before COVID. If I'd have known I could have went to school for another year for COVID, I'd have taken it for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Paul, last question. What was your, like you mentioned Virginia being maybe a better fit with Sandy. Did you just kind of let a player like that, hey, here's my thoughts, or what do you try to guide, or you just say, I know you were close to Sandy, so, I mean, how does your involvement into that help him, or does it kind of get his mindset?
Well, I don't know how, some kids grow up in Wisconsin wanting to be a Badger. That's your dream school.
Yep.
He was always a Marquette. And I think it's because Marquette has cool uniforms and they're a Jordan school. They have one of the few they get Jordan stuff. They fly private. They are one of the top, I think it's North Carolina, Duke, and Marquette in amount of money they spend per player. We went on that visit, and I think he was just blown away. Buzz Williams was a coach there at that time when he was being recruited. And, their facility, they have kind of like the Crest Center. They're what is the Al McGuire Center on campus there, where it's pretty much the boys and girls basketball facility. They have a team chef. They don't eat in the Commons. They eat at the McGuire Center, and they order their meals every day. You walk in there, all these tall kids, they got extra length. You can order what kind of mattress that you want. You get a 65-inch TV. It was absolutely incredible. And after that visit, there wasn't much question. I mean,
right.
It was pretty impressive to anybody. And you can imagine an 18-year-old kid. He's I'm done. This is where I'm going. I'm done.
But we could try North Carolina, Virginia. Where else did he go?
Yeah, he took that visit and he signed.
Wow.
Really?
I really thought he should have done a little shopping. Kind of, take a weekend trip to Virginia. Check out some of these other places because there's, who knows.
There's a lot of world out there, especially on somebody else's dime.
Get some swag.
Yeah. So
that's incredible.
That was how that went. But he was so pro Marquette from day one that, once they offered, it really wasn't a decision for him.
Did you try to stop the Penn from signing at least, like give it a break, or it was just go?
And there's so much that went into that in terms of all the stuff that you have to do as a high school kid, because Sandy was behind in high school, and he had to get his ACT up to be able to compete, and so we had him taking those private lessons and catching him up in school, and he had a lot of work to do. In fact, Buzz Williams did not want him to play football until he passed his ACT. And that was the deal. You want to play football, you're going to pass your ACT. And he finally passed. He passed it. He took it in summer, just missed it. He needed a little higher score. And then he took it again in the early October period, and he did really well. And, first thing he did was call coach and said, "Coach, I passed. Can I play football?" And so he stepped onto he played in the playoffs and that kind of stuff. But I mean, you got to do your work. You have academic standards, and you got all these. There's a lot of pressure on a kid that all of a sudden this whole world is right there for you, but you got to do this and this and this, and it's got to happen.
You're working for the college at that point.
You are. I mean, you are. They could kind of own you.
Yeah.
You're treated pretty special. They have a guy who comes in every Sunday afternoon and gives the kids haircuts. Stuff like that. It was just one thing after another, but big time college athletics is truly a business. And there's pressure on the kids, but there's pressure on the coaches.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of pressure. And because Buzz ended up leaving, and that's when they brought in Mojo, right?
Yeah, he left before Sandy got there. And then Wojo, and of course, that opened up his recruiting, but he had already made up his mind. But when Wojo got hired, his first day there, they flew up to Austin Strabo and came to our house in Seymour and met there. And, they had recruited 4 kids. 3 of them, when Buzz left. 2 went with him and 1 went somewhere else. So he was really trying to do damage control and hang on to at least a couple of his recruits. Yeah. But the whole process is exciting for a high school kid. But I think for kids who really don't know what to do, it's hard because everybody's telling you. And now you're throwing in this new element with the NIL.
Yeah.
There's money.
Right?
Big money for a lot of kids.
Yeah, especially at big-time programs. I'm sure Sandy would have been able to take advantage of that,
I don't know. But I know kids today are, even Wisconsin's, from what we've heard, has put out pretty good money for some kids who, it didn't happen, but trying to compete with other programs financially to do that.
It's almost pay to play to the player now. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I guess the kids are finally starting to get their piece of the pie, right? With advertising rights and NIL deals. And I don't know where I'm at with that, but, I do think the colleges have made lots, and the NCAA has made a lot of money off a lot of kids for a lot of years. And it's kind of turned like, hey, they are the product. Maybe they get a piece.
Yeah, we've talked about this link that the NCAA did themselves no favors. They could have been doing this forever, giving the kids a portion of revenue for their play and kept this at bay. Now it's just crazy. The transfer portal, I mean, if you don't like where you're at, you just transfer. And if you can build a team tomorrow on superstars out of the transfer portal.
Isn't that something? I mean, and that's affected high school recruiting.
Yeah.
I mean, why should you take a chance on a high school senior unless he's an absolute stud?
Yep.
When you can have a kid go to college, prove it for a year. Hey, that guy's a real deal.
Yeah.
And now you go to the next level. So it's a different world.
Do you think NIL ever touches high school? Above the table?
I don't think most, would it be then like the communities with money?
Right.
are the only ones who can do it. What happened to all the small schools? Not going to be able to, all their good players are going to leave. I guess it's like trying to coach a small college team now. You got a kid who does well, he's gone. So if you're coaching up in Florence, you got Anthony Pieper, you better enjoy him for his freshman year because he's going to Bayport because they're going to have a sweet deal for him. I know how you guys at Bayport work, Toby.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Is that IEPR?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
the one thing I have heard on this, John, is what is it? 30? I think it's 34 or 36 states now have some type of NIL set up for high schoolers, and they're saying Wisconsin may get forced into it from a legislation perspective because if we don't do it as the WIAA, they may just come in and say, "Hey, you have to do it." And so there's talk that this is maybe in the next 5 years potentially.
Wow.
Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. I mean, just this idea of your local car dealership might be, having a kid sit up the starting quarterback or the starting point guard and, repping that business. And next thing you know, he's driving a nice new vehicle down the road. It's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, how does that work? What does that look like?
I don't know.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of what's that? Friday Night Lights.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those high school kids in that town. Some kids are driving pretty nice vehicles and get a little money under the table. If you're a star, you're taken care of. Is that what's coming? That would be sad.
I think it would be.
So. I mean, I walked around my whole senior year with my hand out. Anything. Now, you probably had to be a star. I wasn't really.
Yeah.
I should have been. I was held back by my height.
I wonder how that works even at colleges right now. What are those offensive linemen who are blocking for, the stud quarterback who's got a pocket full of money?
Yeah.
I mean, is there some animosity there?
Yeah.
Well, and you think,
he deserves that. I don't.
Yeah.
Can you imagine coaching in high school is only like this guy gets it and this guy doesn't?
Yeah, and you have probably one kid on your team in high school that would earn NIL money, probably because his dad owned the car dealership. That's the loophole that I've talked to some others about is, so if my daughter plays at Stevens Point tennis next year, is there a tax deduct business-wise if I claim it as a advertising expense and give her money to pay for college? That's a question.
Only you think like that, Toby.
Now,
yeah, I've heard that there's certain colleges already that have you're a freshman, you get this much, you're a sophomore, you get this much, they are building in structure to it. But then there's the kid who gets extra because he's maybe, he's a star.
For sure.
I mean, you want him, but you got to have that guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least everybody's getting a piece of the pie.
Yeah. No, and that's kind of the way I understand it. No, I was just going to say that's the way I understand it working as well. I've talked to a few people that have kids in that realm. Joey Hauser at Michigan State was one of them.
Yep.
And so one of the things they said is that there is NIL money for everybody. Like you said, it kind of comes directly from the school, and then the school distributes it to each kid. But then they can go out and do their own thing as well, depending on how successful they are. So, yeah, you were going to say about Caitlin Clark.
Well, they said Caitlin Clark at Iowa, she makes more money in college with NIL money than she ever will in the pros.
I don't think it's even close.
Right? I agree with you. So why not hang on to college as long as possible? Where on the boys' side, they get out of colleges, and maybe not anymore, but there's so little money on the women's side, you might as well take the car dealership money.
Oh,
I don't know why we're picking on car dealerships, unless they got a lot of money.
I mean, Caitlin Clark is pretty special.
Yeah.
I mean, I was the first time last year that I can really remember, and maybe it's bad of me, but we all went down to the bar to watch the Iowa girls play in the semifinals.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of guys all wanted to go see Caitlin Clark play.
Yeah.
I mean, she's incredible. She's Steph Curry.
Oh, she's unbelievable. Yeah.
She is. Yeah. And you know what was really cool? Toby, just before the season starts in October, Wisconsin basketball coaches always has a clinic. It's in the Dells. And, there's speakers and It's always a good way to start the season, get your mind going, thinking about hoops again. And we get there, and then there's this line wrapped all the way around the building, the Just a Game Field House. Like, what is going on here? Well, they had Caitlin Clark there signing autographs at this thing, and there was probably 300-400 high school girls.
That's cool.
There to get her, a picture with her and an autograph. That was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
she couldn't be a better person.
Basketball was amazing.
Yeah.
Right. And then what kind of like knocked that down was in the championship game. You get Angel Reese, with all the antics, and here Caitlin Clark was the one that's building up the women's sports on the basketball side, but everybody talked about Angel Reese and her antics, and now she's back playing today, I guess. I guess that's big news. I could care less. But I hope that there's more Caitlin Clarks in the world than Angel Reese's.
Yeah, like I said, you see all those hundreds of little girls out there, what how inspired they were because of what she's done for the game and what she is doing for the game.
Yeah.
And just showing how special and how skilled.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I'm way older than you guys, but when I was in high school, I think at Bayport, I graduated in 81, girls basketball was just coming into play. And I think maybe it was like 76 or 77 is when they first started having girls basketball.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
And I remember those days where the girls were really, it was a very unskilled game. They weren't brought up playing hoops in second grade. And to where you see that she's brought it is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, girls hoops today, pretty impressive.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Listen, do you base your success of all your coaching and your family, do you base that on graduating from Bayport? I mean,
you know what? I guess I overcame. Maybe in spite of. I thought so until you guys moved in that district. No, I grew up, Toby, when Bayport wasn't Bayport. Our high school was at the where the
middle school. Yep.
And I think my graduating class was 160 or something. It was probably 500, 600, 700.
Yeah.
It was just Bayport was just. We lived on Glendale Avenue, on the top of the hill, past the. There's a little roundabout up on Glendale,
Yep.
and what is that? Hillcrest.
Yep.
Third house on the right is where I grew up, and there was only one farmhouse between my house and St. John's Church.
Holy cow! See, we used to come out there and drink beer because there was nothing out there because farmland, right? I was 21 in high school.
Yeah. So Howard Swamico has changed.
Yeah.
So I went to old Bayport, Toby, not the place you're at.
Yeah, I get it. Now, quick question though, but we go back to Sandy's recruiting at Marquette.
Yep.
Speak of Riley's recruiting at Eau Claire. Like, how was that? That was different, right? I mean,
he was recruited by a bunch of D3 schools. Schools like St. Norbert's, that was too close to home. One place that I really liked was playing for Pat McKenzie Jr. He's at St. John's in Minnesota. We went up there, and I think that would be a great place to play. And I think he would have loved it there. Well, I liked it. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. You go up to the Twin Cities, you take a right, and go about another hour and a half. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. The Johnnies, they have an amazing football program, and their facilities are like any D1 school. It was incredible. This is a D3 school that averages 10 to 12,000 people a game for home football games. It's just, in a little time warp and a sports community. I think it would have been fun playing there. But it was an all-boys school.
St. Benedict.
It's like, nope, that's not working for me.
Oh, there's an all-girls school right next door.
Yeah, what is St. Benedictines, I think?
St. Benedict's, yeah. You're never going to believe this. I went up to St. John's and partied for a weekend. Love the school.
Okay, that's a hard stretch to believe.
Yeah, I went and saw a concert, but it was a great time. Great time up there.
It's beautiful up there.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a pretty area. So I mean, those were the types of schools. And we went to Eau Claire, we went to La Crosse, and I had gone to school in La Crosse, so I thought, hey, you'd like it here. It's beautiful there. It's a nice school. But as soon as we went to Eau Claire, he just liked it. You know, when you're a kid and you go to school and you're like, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That was it. I mean, he liked the school. He liked the guys with the team. And, so that was, it was like, the recruiting at D3 you get a bunch of phone calls. You get a bunch of letters saying how, we'd love to have you. And you just got to make up your mind. There's not everybody's going to do everything for you. I can remember Riley at Eau Claire, them saying, here's the picture of our new arena. It'll be built by your junior year, the Mayo Center. I think he's a senior this year, and I think it's supposed to open the next 2 years sometime. But there was a lot of, those people work really hard, D3 coaches. And that's the thing that Riley found out is that these D3 coaches think that they're D1 coaches.
Yep.
You're up Saturday mornings running hills in the off season and lifting at 6 a.m. 3 days a week, and practices and schedule around classes. And he played his freshman year, and that was the COVID year. So they played 4 games that year. Riley started 3 of them. They practiced like 150 times because after the season, then the coach got, they got a special thing that they keep practicing till May. They're all like, oh my God. Because nobody had any games.
Oh man.
Right.
And I think he was like, you know what, all my friends are having fun, enjoying college and going out and doing all the stuff we did in college. He's like, I think he was more worried about telling me, Dad, I don't think I'm going to play than anybody else. And I just said, Riley, I get it. I went to college. I loved every second of it. What you're doing is a lot of drudgery. If you want to walk away, I'm 100% on board with that.
Yeah.
And so we only played 1 year, but he's really enjoyed his experience at Eau Claire. It's a great school.
A good time. I'm told.
Yeah.
I'm told. Only been there a couple times.
Yeah. I know Jeremy, like John's son, Evan, played with Riley for a long time. Evan was a hell of an athlete. I mean, that guy that guy's hops. He could have played. He'd been a really good player for D3. But there's some kids who, like, after high school, it's like, high school is so intense and it's so fun. That's like, if I'm not going to play D1, I think I just want to be a kid.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I believe Evan went to La Crosse.
He went to La Crosse, yeah.
That's where he headed off. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's
and now
really good kid.
Yeah.
Well, moving away from basketball, you've had 2 daughters that ran college. Not ran, but one IU or Indiana State, and then one at Harvard.
Yep.
Which is fine. I mean, if you're into that. But so how did that recruiting go with your daughters? Because those are also very large schools, very prestigious schools. Both of them are fantastic. So how does Harvard go?
Yeah, that was she was a 4.0 student, and she was a valedictorian and that kind of thing. But in order to get in Harvard, everybody's a valedictorian, everybody's a 4.0. Yeah. You have to, you have to do some. It was completely different. First of all, because they don't give athletic scholarships. But we found out early on, and when we talked to the track coaches, because that's a good package to have, to be a 4.0, to be a valedictorian. And to be a state champion in track, to be a good athlete, because every sport, the football, the girls track, the boys track, baseball, they get a certain amount of kids that they can push for, to be a part of their program. They meet the qualifications academically, but there's so much competition. Yeah. And I'm sure there was a lot of people that didn't get in with higher ACT scores. and things like that. But one thing that they had to do, they flew her down there, and she had to interview. This is a 17, 18-year-old kid interview with 15 adults, just her in a room for an
Really?
hour.
Wow.
That was her, and when she found out that we got in, we said, what, how did that, I would have been scared to say a word. I think. And she said, well, the lady who started the interview had started with, I see you're from Green Bay. Does it bother you that we have your quarterback, Brett Favre, at that time? And of course, her whole life, she was born and raised with Brett Favre, and he was, and then she just got off talking about Brett Favre and, how much she despised the Vikings now.
Yeah.
And, it kind of broke the ice for her. And then she said it was an awesome hour.
Huh.
And, then we had a waiting period of about a month where we just kind of said, Elena, you got to start looking. I said, Wisconsin's a great option. She's in there. And after being at Harvard, she's like, I don't want to go anywhere else. So, but we got the call.
Wow.
And that was one of the really cool moments in our
That's
life.
cool.
Where you got a call from Harvard, and Elena said, Mom and Dad, I'm in.
That's said, impressive.
What? You're going to Harvard?
That's cool.
So that was very, very exciting. Different type of recruiting, but we did find out, because I'm thinking, we knew they didn't give athletic scholarships. All right. I also knew that Harvard was like $70,000 a year. I'm like, I got to mortgage a house, got to mortgage a cottage. But this is crazy. If you make less than, and I don't know what the number is now, but if you made less than $200,000 a year at Harvard, if your parents made less than $200,000 a year, and I just snuck in under that, as the teacher told me, just snuck in.
I get it. Probably move some stock options in Seymour around a little bit.
If you made less than $200,000, they pay 80%.
Wow.
80%.
Right off the bat. 80%.
Right off the bat.
Huh.
And so, like, when her tuition bill came, she got like $52,000 paid from some guy who was a track athlete at Harvard in like 1955. And he was paying at that time for like 20 track athletes. Some billionaire, probably right off.
Right.
Some guy that did epoxy floors.
Just some huge epoxy flooring.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's
That
crazy.
is crazy.
They're speaking of endowment. I mean, Harvard's endowment is billions, right? I mean, they have more money than Wisconsin to spend, but that they would have individuals paying for.
Yeah.
Huh.
They have these students, especially the athletes, have designated payers, and we're like, how did you get this? And Luce, her payer was like some Irish guy.
Yeah, we met him.
Yeah, and he took her out to dinner. And
see, I've heard that. I've heard they do dinner.
He loved her name, Elena Rose Murphy. Huh. That's my girl.
That's interesting.
Because it's a Murphy to tie with the Irish.
Yeah. So how's that? I didn't have to fill out a financial aid form or nothing. It was cheaper for her to go to Harvard than Point.
That's crazy.
Isn't it?
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's actually amazing that when you take a college like that, well, let's be honest, going to Harvard, the people you meet is probably more valuable than anything, except for that piece of paper that says Harvard.
Yeah, most of her roommates were not getting any financial aid.
I can imagine.
One of her, and you're talking about her roommates got, cottages on Cape Cod. And one of her roommates, her name is, this name might ring a bell, Natalia Payne. Thomas Paine wrote a famous booklet called Common Sense. That was a relative of hers. And so Elena would go out. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? That's the kind of people that you kind of sometimes run
So
into
when
there.
she met these people, did she come up to them and be like, "Hey, I'm from Seymour. We invented the hamburger"?
Yeah, I don't know. I think she was like a fly on the wall for a while.
I mean, we did invent the hamburger, so you got that going for you.
Exactly. Just that I wonder if she ever brought that up, or if that was like a something you didn't want to
Yeah.
bring up.
Huh.
Oh
That's
yeah,
crazy.
that was very cool. Very cool. We, as a family, we were out there several times at graduation, but before that, and um, saw the East Coast and got to know Harvard and Harvard Square, and
Huh.
kind of felt really really important there, Toby, for a little bit. But there, it was a special
That's really
experience.
cool.
What's a special experience driving in Boston? I
I've
won't
done it.
recommend it.
I've done it. It's yeah. They don't care about anybody.
They don't care.
Every car is dinged, dented, and it just they go until they hit, and then they go the other way.
People are
No.
screaming at you, giving you the finger, and you're just trying to get somewhere.
Now
Yeah,
where's Indiana State? What city is Indiana State, and where your second daughter?
Indiana State is in southern Indiana. It's in the town of Terre Haute.
Haute.
Terre Haute,
All right.
Indiana. It's a long car ride. I mean, how far is it? It was 9 hours? Seven and a half hours. Go to Chicago and straight south. There's nothing but
Through
windmills.
two of the worst states in the country, Illinois and Indiana.
Oh my God.
Indiana's terrible.
You go by Fort Wayne. I mean, you get by Purdue, and then you just keep going. I mean, they're only, how far? It's like 30, 40 miles from Kentucky.
Wow. Yeah, they're right down
So
there.
they're right on the border.
You're down there.
Wow.
You're down there. So, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, Bridget went there for 4 years and 3 years. 3 years. So she ended up getting kind of track is it's just brutal on the body, especially college track. There comes a point when you just
Had
stuff
enough.
on your body. They both had, Elena had hip surgery. Bridget had three compartment syndrome surgeries on her legs. Comes a point where it's like time to stop.
Yeah.
You had life.
Well, we have a really good runner that's a cross-country runner here at Spash. And last year he had a femur, I think it was, that he had a stress fracture in. And he has a femur stress fracture again. And he just committed to Liberty. And it's like those guys put on 60, 70 miles a week. And they go and go and go. It's crazy.
It's track is really tough. And high school track, I think, is, that they don't put that kind of pressure on kids, but man, it's survival of the fittest. I mean, your body eventually breaks down with that pounding. I mean, there's some kids that are so gifted that maybe it's just easier for them, or their bodies are a little more, but our girls were 5'2" and 100 pounds, and there came a point where I think their bodies was just like, this enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, sports was great for them. I mean, it paid for their college education. That's cool. They've made a million good friends, and it brought Elena and Bridget in places that they never would have had the opportunity to compete.
That's insane. That's crazy.
I know we're running a little short on. We want to be respectful of your time, but any advice maybe for parents running through? That's kind of what this whole podcast is about. Running through that process that you could give to parents, maybe, and the athletes that might be watching this, John.
You talking about in terms of the
recruiting process. Yeah.
My advice would be to both moms and dads and to the kids that don't get lost in that and enjoy high school, because I think for 90% of kids, their experience in high school is more exciting than it will be in college. The recruiting process sometimes gets in the way of kids enjoying what they've, been good at their whole life, and they're excelling at a high school level, and you're running for fun, and you're playing hoops or you're tennis. When you get to the next level, it just becomes a business. It's about getting that win, and that's what the coaches are concerned about, and that's what the focus is. It's just high school, I think most people would tell you high school is the best days in athletics is high school.
Mm-hmm.
You're growing up, you're competing because you love it. You're doing it with your best friends. And you get to go to battle every Friday night. And for 20, 25 times a year, you know, and that's the stuff you talk about when you're our age, when you see your buddies, you know, like,
Yeah, right.
do you remember when it's those memories and those, you know, those special things that you accomplished. And it's not about excelling at next level. You just got to not forget to enjoy today and, you know, sell today because, hey, I'm going here and I'm going here. I don't care where you go. Go to a college that wants you. Go to a college you think you fit in. And don't put yourself in a position that some guys try to play at too high of a level. And it's a failure waiting to happen. Where maybe you can go to a little, you know, go where you fit in, where you know you can excel. You know, it's just interesting, Toby, around this. Caitlin McGinnis is a junior at Kimberly. Good basketball player, good athlete. That's the athletic director's daughter. And she was offered by the Badgers this summer a full basketball scholarship. And she's only going to be a junior. She accepted a full ride at Belmont.
Really?
Who makes that decision?
Someone that knows what they're doing. Because
and she's going. Well, she liked her visit at Nashville. They had a great vision, exactly how she's going to fit in. You know, where they see her. They're so pumped to have her. And I know that when she went to Wisconsin, it was like, well, we have to see who else is signed for this recruiting class to know exactly where you fit in. And she was like, I know what this is. She just, I think it was a very mature decision.
Yeah. I would have been Badger, right? Just to be able to be a part of it, just walk-on status, whatever.
Yeah. And then you would have been in the transfer portal.
I'd have been in a frat house somewhere.
Find a place that they want you. Find a place where you can play, and enjoy. Don't forget to enjoy your friends and your senior year. And some of these kids are recruited from their freshman, sophomore year on. And we have two girls at Kimberly that have D1 rides in basketball. They're ninth graders this year.
Yeah, that's
they haven't
insane.
accepted, but they've been offered as eighth graders this past summer going into ninth grade. I mean, how does that taint your high school experience?
Right.
That would be a tough conversation to have with a parent to try to keep, you know, still make high school important.
Right. You know, and not then you're playing not to get hurt. You're playing always for the future instead of today.
Yeah.
Well,
don't lose the joy. Just enjoy what you're doing.
Right.
I like it.
I just want to put it out if there is any NIL money for Stevens Point tennis players next year, if that's call me. I mean, through the show, of course.
Right.
Hey, we're gonna hook.
I don't think
Toby.
the ice cream business is.
Oh yeah.
Like 50.
I don't think the ice cream business is that good yet, Phil.
There you go.
If I get $1,500 or $15 from two people, that's $30. I'm on my way.
That's your deal.
That's it. That's my goal. 30.
Awesome. Well, there's great.
Yeah, it was. Hey, I want to leave you with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
One quick thing. We just got a fan that said, hey, they saw you when you were in your prime, which is still right now. And they said they had two children at Ashwaubenon, and they were really honored that you were able to experience your humbleness and your love of the sport. So I thought you did appreciate hearing that, Coach.
Yeah, we lived in Ashwaubenon for a little while, and you know, I coached my daughters in basketball and a bunch of Ashwaubenon girls too. So I wonder.
Tim McNulty is the name. Tim McNulty.
McNulty. He was with the public, Ashwaubenon Public Service. He's my neighbor, so.
Yeah,
good
cool.
guy.
Well, I tell you what, we enjoyed our time in Ashwaubenon, and I feel fortunate. And I'm glad that, you know, we were able to hopefully positively impact some kids.
Yeah. Well, now, down the road, when me and you are coaching at Gibraltar, We're gonna
Okay.
yeah. When we're both living in Door County, that's what we're talking about. Because my wife says I got to
We
move
are.
up there.
I told you we're gonna after I'm done with this Kimberly gig, I'm riding off in the sunset, and maybe something will pop up in Gibraltar, and you can be like head of I don't know, like I don't. Well, you're kind of a
There we
public
go. I think
relations
we'll do
guy.
public
Doesn't sound
relations.
like I'm going to be
You
on the
can take
corner
care
though,
of
right?
all. You're ahead of all parents.
Parent issues. There you go. That'd be perfect for Toby.
Any problem? See Toby.
Yeah, I am the
Don't
complaint
talk to me.
department. That sounds amazing, John. I would really appreciate it.
It's a good job. The pay's good. They'll double your $30 stipend.
I love it.
Here I thought you were going to be like, we're going to coach together, but no, we don't have. I have 12 coaches, and you didn't make the list.
Yeah, I was disappointed you didn't come along, but just because it was Kimberly and you didn't get by the Bayport thing, you're not sitting on a bench with me.
I can't do it. I did come to a game. I've seen more Kimberly basketball in my life than I have Bayport basketball. So I got to change that this year.
We're gonna get you back there.
Yeah. So.
And Jeremy, we're gonna see you.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it, and it'd be great to meet you in person. So that'll be excellent. Hopefully, I think we're at Kimberly this year, right?
Correct.
I still might be able to get over to that game. We'll see. That'd be great to introduce. So.
Awesome. If not, nice meeting you guys. Nice meeting
you as well.
Toby, I'll run into you.
Hey, John, hang on.
All right, hang on 1 second.
Yep.
We'll turn this off, and then we'll download quick, so it won't take long.
Awesome.
All right.